All right, continuing on with week 4 of the manuscript draft of Writing the Good Life. This is on Odyssey planning and how to use Odyssey plans to embark on various future versions of ourselves in life as an adventure. So let's do this. The secret of this business? There is no secret. Be yourself. Larry King, the famous broadcaster, said of radio broadcasting. I think it's actually really true of a lot of work. In terms of the creative process, one of the most important abilities to train is the ability to ask the right questions, to know where to look, says Josh Waitzkin, the author of The Art of Learning, who's a chess master and jiu-jitsu world champion. To do this, we're going to explore the development and design of our Odyssey Years. It's an idea from Bill Burnett and Dave Evans, Designing Your Life. And this is exploring life as an adventure. Quote, they write, "Life is an odyssey, an adventurous journey into the future with hopes and goals, helpers, lovers and antagonists, unknowns and serendipities, all unfolding over time in a way we both intend at the start and weave together as we go. We want to take time now to imagine multiple ways you could launch the next chapter of your life's journey, your quest. We're going to imagine 3 different lives over the next 5 years. Life 1 is the thing that you already do. It's what your default next life would be if you pretty much do what you're doing right now. Life 2 is that thing you do if number 1 was totally gone. So if you are a teacher now, what you would do if the profession of teaching somehow just disappeared. And life 3 is something you would do if money or image were no object. So some fantastical, amazing, awesome thing you do if you did not need to worry about money or what other people would think about you. These Odyssey plans that we come up with are a driver of curiosity, which drive experimental design without attachment to the outcome and can yield a project of either prototype conversations and prototype experiences that help us learn more about who we are and how we might actualize ourselves. There's really 3 steps for the hopeful reinvention of your life. Number 1, we get curious with Odyssey plans. Number 2, we talk to people with prototype conversations. And number 3, we try stuff, prototype experiments. Prototype conversations explores building as thinking. This is also the best way to land a good job. Why should we prototype and how do we prototype? There's 2 types. Prototypes are bounded conversations and bounded experiments. So they have a clear beginning and an end. There is a sense of play, experimentation, non-attachment, and equanimity. We're thinking journey before the destination, so we're not limiting ourselves by being attached to a particular outcome that we want to have happen. Conversations really have 3 parts. You just, in terms of setting up a conversation, you want to say how you found the person you'd like to talk to, what you love about their work, and your curiosity about their story and what you might be able to learn from them. You find someone that you want to learn about that may be on the path that you want to go on, and then you ask them, this is how I found you, what I love about what you do, and how I'm curious about your story, how you got to be where you are. You are not trying to get anything out of these prototype conversations. You're just trying to learn other people's stories and learn as much about them as you possibly can in a way, again, that shines light on who you are and how you might actualize yourself into fuller being. The full extension of this from The Art of Learning with Josh Waitzkin is firewalking, which is a kind of what he calls firewalking, an art of somatic imagination, learning from other people's experiences. So if I know enough about what it's like to be someone else that I'm interested in, I can firewalk my way through what it's like to be them and get the kind of experience in my body of whether or not I would like to actually pursue that Odyssey plan. Here's the deal. Talk does not cook rice. And your writing up to this point can be a crutch. Do the thing, make the move. To get us out of perfectionism and get us moving forward, we might consider the Simplex method of operations research, which is this, quote, "You find optimal by never really knowing what optimal is ahead of time. You find it in a series and a streak of iterative steps." Bill Burnett and Dave Evans say that passion comes after you try something. Passion is the result of a good life design, not the cause. Dolly Parton says, quote, "You find out who you are and then do it on purpose." And Seth Godin in The Practice flips this and says, "You do it on purpose and then you find out who you are," emphasizing that we have to try things and do things to get clearer on where we might be going. We can see investigation itself, the role of curiosity, as a type of iteration and reiteration. Physics education is a model for what we do in our life. When we're researching in physics, we're not paying attention to the outcome. We're relaxing and being comfortable with knowing it won't be perfect. We have an open mind. We are not aiming for perfection, just good enough. Maybe we should call this course Writing the Good Enough Life. Better is the enemy of good enough. You have to be able to let go of the perfectionism and be willing to try different things. I know trial and error can be expensive, and some people will argue that it's not, that we need a sense of purpose and outcome. But the point here is that we want to get to a point where we can experience our errors and failure as the key to neuroplasticity and learning, which is rooted in brain science. When we have an error or we fail, it signals to our system that it needs to change. It releases epinephrine for alertness and acetylcholine, which facilitates focus. When we get frustrated and we quit, that's what we don't want. We want this error feedback so that when we fail, it triggers the system for us to get better. If we just insulate ourselves from failures, we insulate ourselves from growth. And when we're getting frustrated, that's an opportunity to stick with it, and that will trigger the growth of key neurons. It's a really interesting question about when frustration should signal that we stop or that we move forward, which again connects back to trying different things. We've heard that it's 10,000 hours to mastery, and it's fun to play with the idea that maybe it's 10,000 iterations, or if we're looking at this in self-development, 10,000 ego deaths. As we're doing this, it might be helpful to lower the bar. Lower the bar on living a meaningful life. Lower the bar on what it means to be happy. Lower the bar on what a loving relationship looks like. Lower the bar on your dream job. Lower the bar on your ideal lover or partner. This is not about compromising in human flourishing. It's about understanding human cognitive nature and using that to our advantage instead of disadvantage. Lowering the bar gives us freedom, awareness to where we are going and where we'd like to be going. The human brain is primed to find out what's wrong in a situation, and holding ourselves or our work or our partners to a perfect standard, quote unquote, can get in the way of us being truly present and curious to the wonders of what already is. So if you're bummed out about yourself or about your work or about your job, lower the bar. Appreciate what is, look differently at what is, and see what and where that leaves you. i.e., give yourself permission to be human, to be real, and to be authentic. If you have unreal expectations, lower the bar. Now, for those of us that really want to set a high bar, we can still set really high standards for ourselves. We just need to really be clear about the intention we use to set the bar. And we ought to invest are some of our training in what good enough assessment would be, and self-reflection so that we can understand what's working and what's not. Again, we're prototyping various potential futures. We follow our opportunities and take our bliss with us. With more opportunity, we have more potential. We're then potentially designing projects that work with intention and design. If it's for you, it's a hobby. If it's for others, it's work. So we can ask, who is it for specifically? What's it for specifically? And what will change? We have to be willing to make shit. We make shit, eat shit, give a shit, to eat shit, to make more shit. It's an infinity loop of shit eating. You've got to give two kinds of shits. Well, you first have to care. You really have to give a shit. And secondly, you do have to excrete and eliminate, meaning you want to be maybe repurposed later after gone through a complex sewage system or filtration system, but we do want to be able to eliminate our options by making shit. This connects to the role of composting in art. One of my favorite aspects of the home workshop is repurposing, finding old waste, some shit writing, that can somehow be used as a central pop in a new piece, a wooden cross section for a new bookcase. This all ties back to the notion of infinity gaming and an affinity space model. For example, Alcoholics Anonymous, where everyone's interested in getting to a better life, but there's a diversity of perspectives that might help us along the way. We're going to go deeper next week into the idea of prototyping with different people and finding ways to go deeper into the conversations that might really move the needle on our lives. But this, what we went over today, is the basics of being who we are through designing Odyssey plans, through Odyssey Years, using those plans to develop curiosity, experiment, and design different experiences and conversations that might help us get a better sense of who we are and make moves in our life that's going to help us find what optimal is through a series of streaks and iterative steps where we investigate ways of embracing failure, creating new standards for ourselves that might help us discover new opportunities and create projects that will help us get clearer on where we're going in the infinite game of our lives.